Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know this rush hour of May 2, Monday. I'm Riza Diaz. Jumpstarting today's rush with World Health officials raising their COVID-19 risk assessment to very high. The WHO said the virus spread to sub-Saharan Africa and declines to global financial markets prompted to move to scale their assessment on the COVID-19 outbreak. Now, cases of infection outside China are still rising, the highest of which coming from South Korea, Italy, and Iran. Now, the United States, Australia, and Thailand each recorded their first casualty from COVID-19. Total confirmed cases now stands at over 87,000, while deaths worldwide, though mostly from China, start to near the 3,000 mark. The good news, over 42,000 have recovered from the virus. Now, as precaution, the U.S. has also decided to postpone its summit with ASEAN state leaders for the time being. Here in the Philippines, Cebu Pacific has temporarily canceled its flights to South Korea in response to the government's ongoing partial travel ban. While the WHO raised global risk to COVID-19 due to the highest level, Malacanang says it has no plans of declaring a nationwide class suspension. Presidential spokesperson Salpanelo explained that protocols are in place to prevent the spread of the disease. He added that the interagency task force is holding regular meetings to assess the effect of COVID-19 to the Philippines. But it looks like the Tourism Department did not share Malacanang's sentiment on the matter. The DOT indefinitely postponed the nationwide mall sale portion of the 2020 Philippine Shopping Festival to prioritize the safety of the people amid the virus outbreak. Now, this comes as the number of suspected cases of COVID-19 in the country jumped to 633 over the weekend. 39 of them are still under hospital care, while majority have already been sent home. On the other hand, 3 additional repatriates from MV Diamond Princess Cruise showed symptoms of the coronavirus disease. This brings the total number of symptomatic Japan repatriates to 13. But the health department says 10 of them have already tested negative. In South Korea, the religious sect leader is set to be investigated over the surge of COVID-19 related cases, while OFWs in the country worry about pay and rising prices of masks and the outbreak. Greg Gregorio with the story.
Streets empty and subway stations almost deserted. Daegu in South Korea, safe to say, now seems like a ghost town. Overseas Filipino worker Jero says this has been the case for a week now, since the COVID-19 spread like wildfire in the city.
Ngayon kasi hindi na masyadong pinalalabas ang mga tao, kahit mga Korean, sa labas. So, para kasi pilit na ini-stop ng government yung virus para maiwasan.
And with some establishments ceasing operations, the no work, no pay policy has affected a number of OFWs. One of the fortunate ones, Jero still receives his salary despite his workplace is shut down.
Suportado ako ng amo ko. Pag kailangan ko ng pagkain, dinadala ako ng pagkain ng amo ko dito.
But he's worried about one thing, the rising prices of KF94 masks. What used to be 1,000 to 1,200 wons now costs 3,000 to 4,000 wons, or about 126 to 168 pesos. They're asking the Philippine Embassy in Seoul to supply them with masks and alcohol.
Kung araw-araw gagamitin, mahal nga. Meron ako stock ng sarili ko. So, nag-worry lang ako kasi sa iba. Kasi wala rin talaga. Pumapasok pa sila.
The Philippine Overseas Labor Office in Korea is also appealing for help in gathering masks. But Health Secretary Francisco Duque, who still has to raise the matter to the Interagency Task Force, reminds that masks aren't necessary for all.
Otherwise, you might contribute to the acute shortage of these PPEs, which should prioritize the healthcare workers.
There are already more than 2,000 COVID-19 cases in South Korea, with Daegu accounting for the most number of cases, prompting the government to enforce a travel ban to and from the peninsula. For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
Here are the biggest stories from the dailies. Philippine Star ngayon reports that the World Health Organization said no country is safe from spreading the virus. Director General Teodoro Ghebreyesus explained that even first world countries like Italy are not spared from the impact of COVID-19. He warned the nation leaders against assuming that they won't get any cases since the current virus already has pandemic potential. The Philippine Star is citing Malacanang and saying that the government is not seeking a new deal to replace the Visiting Forces Agreement with the United States, which the Duterte administration moved to terminate. But the palace gave assurance that existing defense pacts with other countries would not be touched unless there are, quote, compelling reasons to do so. Recall that Philippine ambassador to the U.S., Babe Romualdez, has been quoted as saying that Manila and Washington are finding ways to come up with an agreement similar to the VFA. But presidential spokesman Sal Panelo said any talks about a possible new agreement with the United States are not sanctioned by Duterte. This from Pangmasa. Kabayan Party List Congressman Ron Salo says the good image of Congress is being destroyed by some of his colleagues. He tagged the Buhay Party List Representative Lito Atienza, PBA Party List Representative Jericho Nograles, and former Negros Occidental Congressman Alfredo Benitez as, quote, the terrible three. Salo said these lawmakers should stop inciting intrigues regarding the supposed ouster plot against House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano and instead simply focus on other pressing national issues. Here are other headlines we're watching today. An arrest warrant is finally out for the suspected mastermind in the killing of a local radio broadcaster last year in Kidapawan. Dante Tabusares, alias Bong Encarnacion, is now the subject of a manhunt by authorities. This is over the killing of Brigada FM commentator Eduardo Dizon, who was critical of the controversial Kappa investment scheme last year. A labor group is now calling on Dole to take steps against more layoffs. That's on the back of steering of layoffs at multinational companies like Honda, Wells Fargo, and Nokia. Defend Jobs Philippines says around 2,000 Filipino workers would be left jobless due to the exits, which could possibly lead to a nationwide employment crisis. But the series of layoffs have not gone unnoticed. A House panel is set to conduct an inquiry regarding the matter tomorrow, which might include the layoffs at the Philippine Airlines. However, amid the surge of COVID-19 cases, Trade Union Congress of the Philippines spokesperson Alan Tanhusay believes this is just the beginning.
Yung airlines, yung cruise at cargo ships, yung mga nasa hotels, restaurants, resorts, at yung mga bumabiyahe ng yung mga land transportation at mga logistics. Magti-trigger ito ng layoff at retrench at para naman makakope yung mga companies dito sa una-una yung mga travel ban na ipinapatupad ng ating gobyerno at yung mga travel ban na ipinapatupad ng ibang bansa.
PDEA is now keeping tabs on Philippine offshore gaming operators for possible involvement in illegal drug trade. PDEA says there are no reported transactions yet so far, but they're still keeping a close watch following the rise in kidnap for ransom activities involving Chinese nationals. It's Fire Prevention Month this March, and as far as the BFP is concerned, Metro Manila is off to a good start with significantly lower fire incidents. Here's the report. The Fire Prevention Month kicked off with a motorcade at the Mall of Asia yesterday. As early as 4 in the morning, officials from the Bureau of Fire Protection started to lead the program, which focused on increasing awareness and preventive measures against fire incidents. According to the BFP, fires are often caused by carelessness among households.
We keep on telling the community to really give emphasis on the practices in the household as well as teach the children. Teach the children to be responsible individual at para po talaga maiwasan yung sunog.
Despite the high safety risk involved in the work, the agency notes the steady stream of volunteers they receive.
Dito lang po sa atin, na napakarami ng gustong tumulong sa ahensya ng pamatay sunog. Lalo na po dito lang po sa NCR, for the entire country, that volunteer fire brigade has more than the number of fire trucks and fire engines compared to the government fire service.
Compared to 2019 figures, fire incidents for the first few months in Metro Manila have gone down by more than half. In February alone, fire cases declined by as much as 100 compared to the same period last year. Still, fire officials remind the public to be vigilant, especially with the upcoming dry season, where electronic appliances tend to overheat and cause fire. Apart from the fire safety awareness, the BFP also had another goal in mind in launching the motorcade. Their target was to beat the US-based Atoka Fire Department's Guinness World Record for the longest parade of fire trucks. The current record stands at 220 participating fire trucks, while the BFP's unofficially tally 242 to beat the reigning record holder. But over in Benguet, 2 more fires broke out over the weekend. The fire first hit part of Amliang in the town of Tuba last Friday and was suppressed by authorities during the same night. But the blaze reignited around 10 a.m. the next morning as the winds had fanned the smoldering dried foliage into a full-blown fire. The incident damaged over at least 5 hectares of forest in the area. Meanwhile, Capoocan, Leyte was hit by a 5.7 magnitude quake this morning. PHIVOLCS warned of possible damages and aftershocks, but up to intensity 5 was felt in the nearby town of Pastrana, Leyte and Tacloban City. Intensity 4 was felt in Palo, Leyte. Get ready to guess up, folks. Oil companies have announced fuel price rollbacks effective tomorrow, Tuesday. Gas prices are set to go down by 1 peso and 40 centavos per liter. Diesel prices also down by 1 peso and 60 centavos, while kerosene prices will be lower by 1 peso and 65 centavos. The Land Transportation Office is proposing a stricter policy on the issuance of driver licenses in a bid to ensure safer roads through law-abiding drivers. Gerald de la Peña gives us a rundown of the new policies.
It usually takes less than 30 minutes for someone to get a student permit from the Land Transportation Office. But that soon might take longer as the LTO is already fine-tuning stricter policies in granting driver's licenses. Under the proposed procedure, an applicant has to attend lectures on traffic rules and regulations before securing a permit.
Ang emphasis po nitong 15 hours na ito, yun ngang batas trapiko, yung rules and regulation ng paggamit ng kalsada, yung road courtesy.
A certification from a driving school will also now be required for a non-professional driver's license.
Yung hindi po naman makakapag-enroll sa driving school, sa LTO training offices po sila accommodated. Pero ito po hindi libre.
Under current policies, an applicant can secure a professional license after a month of carrying a student permit. But under new regulations, drivers will have to hold a non-professional driver's license for at least a year and pass another round of written and practical examinations. This is not a problem for GR Maniacop, who just filed this application.
Kung kailangan required po talagang gano'n ang gagawin, susundin na lang po yung gano'n.
Larry, who just secured a student permit, said it will also be beneficial.
Unlike sa naturuan ka lang, siyempre, mas maganda pa rin yung magkakaroon ng driving school pa din.
The Transportation Department has issued an order to have the written examinations translated in local languages such as Cebuano and Ilocano. Currently, those taking the written exams can only choose between English and Filipino.
Yung mga nag-examine, baka naman hindi gama yung English saka Tagalog, kaya linalagay sa mga local dialects and local languages.
The LTO is looking to implement the new policies this March. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, we are One News.
And that's how the day is shaping up to be this Monday, March 2, 2020. Join us again next time for another round of Rush. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.